All right, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got our college basketball best bets for Wednesday, January 7th. We've got some big games today, a lot in the ACC, the SEC, the Big Ten does not play today, but we've got the Big East, that's what I was looking for, and the Mountain West as well. And we're going to be covering most of these conferences in today's video. But folks, before we get into the 5 best bets today, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets. Again, we're doing this all the way until March, so make sure to stay tuned to the channel every single day up until March, and we got you covered for the summer as well. I haven't said this, but we're going to also be doing 5 best bets daily for the MLB next year as well for the upcoming season. It's starting again on opening day in March, so make sure to look out for that. That's going to be pretty cool. I'm going to have a bonus segment too where we have a daily best bet with the Washington Nationals. That'll be something. Regardless, folks, again, make sure to join us in about an hour for our NBA predictions that are daily on the channel as well. We're going to have 7 games today in the association, so make sure to check that video out. And also, go make sure to check out our first UFC full card prediction for the year of 2025. We've got Amanda Ribas and Mackenzie Dern in the main event in the UFC Apex in Las Vegas this Saturday. 14 fights in that card, and we predicted every single one in the description down below. All right, and also we have our college football predictions too. The Orange Bowl is Thursday, so make sure to check that video out. Okay, let's go on to our first college basketball game of the day. And you know we got to get one for the early game. This is the only game being played at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, and it's North Carolina Central taking on Morgan State in the Hill Fieldhouse in Baltimore, Maryland. We are going with the home team here in the Morgan State Bears. Now, all these teams in the MEAC are looking up at Norfolk State. Norfolk State, again, we say it time in and time out. We picked them right yesterday, going on the road, picking up a huge victory, winning that game by 9 points. Norfolk State is the best team in the MEAC. We are picking Morgan State in this game. Both these squads, again, chasing Norfolk State of sorts. Morgan State 0-1 in the MEAC this year, losing their first game to South Carolina State, who is 2-0 in conference this year, 8-9 as a whole, but not a bad South Carolina State team. And for North Carolina Central, this is a squad that is 0-1 in the MEAC as well, losing on the road to Coppin State, where, they lost to Coppin State, a team that was 1-14 going into that basketball game. Now North Carolina Central has to remain on the road and take on Morgan State. I think it's a rough spot for North Carolina Central. Hear me out. Morgan State is a team that scores, and they can score a lot. Now, both these teams, again, have been very shaky in non-conference play this season. Again, there's a reason North Carolina Central is 7-11, and there's a reason the Morgan State Bears are 6-11. I get that. But hear me out. Again, Morgan State, they are able to put up a bunch of points. And again, some of their games and some of their wins are against these NIAAs that aren't that good, right? They're beating Central Pennsylvania 123-70. They're beating Cheyenne School in Pennsylvania 124-57. But they are able to put up points. Hell, in their loss to Bowling Green, who we're actually going to talk about later in the video, they were able to put up 81 points. Now, the Falcons did score 102 on them at Bowling Green, but still, again, Morgan State is able to score. You look at their win over Campbell, 86-76 victory. On top of that, we get this game at home for Morgan State. I get it. They were at home against South Carolina State, but honestly, I'd say SC State is a much better team than North Carolina Central. Another thing I want to look at, Morgan State has a bunch of guys, a plethora of options in terms of scoring. You've got Winston Tabbs, who leads their team in scoring with 15 points a night. You get Henry Simpkins, who averages 13 points a night. You get Cameron Hobbs, who's averaging 12. Will Thomas averages 12 points a night as well. For NC Central, this is a squad that is without, I believe it's either one of Josh Smith and Anthony Peoples is out. It's Josh Smith who's out. Anthony Peoples just came back from injury. But you got King, who's averaging 16 points a night. He's their leading scorer. Keyshawn Porter averages 11. And they're without currently Josh Smith, who I guess was their third leading scorer at the time of his injury, averaging 9 points a night. I'm taking the Morgan State Bears. 1, it's a 1 p.m. game, and the game is in Baltimore. And 2, I just think Morgan State's going to be able to outscore NC Central. Matchup-wise, the game does favor Morgan State a lot. They're a high-scoring team, and I'm not saying NC Central can't keep up with that. Well, I kind of am. I know they can score as well, but NC Central has lost 3 in a row against, D1 schools. They beat an NIAA in St. Andrews. That's not that impressive a victory, obviously. And their last 2 wins are actually against Mid-Atlantic Christian and St. Andrews, 2 NIAAs. I think St. Andrews might be a D2. But regardless, their last 3 losses in D1 basketball are Coppin State, and NCA&T, and then Longwood. They did win their first game against Longwood, but guys, Longwood's just not that good. I don't care that they went on the road and beat Longwood. Longwood has killed us too many times. They're not that good, and the Big South is just a weird conference, okay? Regardless, I'm taking Morgan State in this game. I do think the Bears are able to outscore them. I get it, NC Central, they've got Porter who's going to explode most games. I understand that, but I do think Morgan State is able to, outshoot out this team, if that makes sense. I think they're just able to get into a high-scoring affair, and I think they're able to put more points on NC Central than NC Central is going to put on them. Okay, so again, and also the game's in Baltimore. That's going to play somewhat of a factor that the game is at Morgan State. I think they're able to take it. Give me the Morgan State Bears at home to pick up their first win in MEAC play here in 2025. I think they beat NC Central, and we get them at plus money. We get plus 3.5 for the Bears. We get plus 140. I think we all like that. Give me the plus money opportunity for the Morgan State Bears at home against North Carolina Central. Let's move on to our second best bet of the video. We go to the Big East. We have got St. John's going on the road to Cincinnati, Ohio to take on the Xavier Musketeers. I don't think Xavier's that good. Just don't think they are. Their last game was an abomination. Now, we picked the Hoyas in that game, and I really like Georgetown. I don't feel that confident to pick Georgetown on the road in Milwaukee against Marquette today. I like the Hoyas a lot. I don't think they can, I'll be happy if they can go on the road and beat Marquette. I don't think they're going to do so. Of course, Marquette currently ranked 7th in the country, but we get St. John's in the spot on the road at Xavier. I think they're able to win this. Again, Xavier went to Georgetown. They go to DC in their last game. They've got a huge lead, and I kid you not, Georgetown goes on about a 16-2 run to close the game to win the game by 6 points. Again, we picked the Hoyas. We were happy with that. But Xavier, again, that big blown lead is brutal, and their only win in a while is Seton Hall, and you know how bad Seton Hall and how Seton Hall is just incapable of scoring. And in all fairness, that's a lot of the Big East and the bottom of the Big East. We're talking about them and DePaul. Those teams just can't score. By the way, DePaul still with, 29 consecutive games without a victory in the Big East? I mean, absolutely brutal. Maybe they'll finally get one when they play Seton Hall. Xavier goes to DePaul next. I think Xavier wins that one pretty handedly. Regardless, I like St. John's in the road here. St. John's is actually capable of winning in the Big East. They are. At least this season, they beat Butler. I get that's not the most impressive victory. They went on the road to Creighton, only lost that game by 1 point. They beat DePaul. I understand, not that great of a team. And Providence, again, not a great team either, but they were able to go on the road and beat them too. I think, again, the game being in Cincinnati doesn't make that much of a difference. I think the Red Storm are just the better basketball team. You get RJ Lewis, who's averaging 16.5 a night. You get Zuby, who's averaging 15. Davion Smith is averaging 11. Richmond's averaging 11 points as well. St. John's just feels like the better basketball team, and especially Xavier team, a Musketeers squad that's been really struggling. They're led by 3 guys. Zach Fremantle is averaging 17. You got Ryan Conwell, who's averaging 16, and then Davion McKnight, who averages 11 points a night. Again, those are the main guys on this Xavier squad. But again, it's just been a lot of losing. If you take away the Seton Hall victory on New Year's Eve, their last win comes on December 10th against Morgan State. And then prior to that, it's a SC State victory where they beat SC State by 3 back on December 1st. They're by far their best win is the South Carolina victory. They were able to beat Colin Murray Boyles and the guys over there at South Carolina back on November 25th. That was a big victory. But I don't know. I don't really think Xavier is all that great. I do think St. John's is the better team. I don't think the game being in Cincinnati makes that much of a difference. I just think the Red Storm are better. This is a 12-3 team this season. They've been able, again, to win games in the Big East this year. They went to Creighton, lost a low-scoring affair, but only lost it by 1 point. This is a team that lost a double overtime game against Baylor. I get it, Baylor hasn't been entirely what people thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season, but still, they were able to beat a really good New Mexico team, and we'll get to the Lobos later in the video. I really like that New Mexico squad. Whenever K-State, I get it, they've been, not that impressive. Georgia lost by only 3. I just think St. John's is the better basketball team. Again, the Big East can be really confusing because a lot of these teams are just kind of and a lot of these teams go through a lot of scoring droughts in their games. They just feel like a lot of these are just really low-scoring games. But I do think St. John's is better than Xavier. I think they go on the road and pick up the win. It can be St. John's to improve to 4-1 in the Big East this season with a victory on the road in Cincinnati, Ohio. Next up, we go to the game of the day. We had to talk about it. The number 1 ranked and the undefeated Tennessee Volunteers take on the Florida Gators. What a basketball game, right? Florida coming off their first loss of the year in Lexington against the Kentucky Wildcats on Saturday. They have to regroup and now take on the only undefeated team left in the SEC. Of course, we're talking about the Tennessee Volunteers. The Vols are good, I'll give them that. I think Florida is able to pick up the victory, though, with the game being in Florida. I do like the Gators in this spot. They're 13-1, and yes, everything I've said about Florida still remains. I don't think they've played the best competition up until this point. I know they're able to beat UNC and such, but really the UNC game is their only big win this season. I mean, wins over Wake. Actually, no, the Arizona State win's not bad, but still, I think they're able to get Tennessee because the game's in Florida. I really think so. Tennessee, for as good as they are, I feel like a game like this is going to get them. Tennessee has been on the brink of losing this undefeated streak or this undefeated season for a while. It feels like to me, like honestly, and I know again they've been doing pretty well. Obviously, the Arkansas game they blew out the Razorbacks, expected, whatever. The Miami game, I know they blew out Miami. They didn't cover. They won the game by 13 points, but they kind of just kept the Hurricanes in that one for too long. It felt like, and then obviously the game I'm thinking about is the Illinois game where the Fighting Illini only lost the game by 2 points. It was in Urbana-Champaign, and again, yes, Tennessee pulled that one out, and obviously again that's what good basketball teams do. So I'm not denying that the Volunteers are a really good basketball team. That's exactly what they are. It's just, again, they are going to lose one of these close, tough games on the road in the SEC this season. And I think it's the spot right here against Florida. It's the first of back-to-back road games for the Volunteers. They get this game at Florida. Then after this, they got to go to Austin, Texas to take on the Longhorns on Saturday. But this is the real test right here. It is, right? It feels like Tennessee is kind of due for one. And I do think the Gators get them. I do like Florida in this spot. They are slight favorites. They're getting 2.5 at home, minus 140 on the money line. It makes sense. Again, both these teams are great. I could go over the individual players on both these squads. You know how good these teams are. Again, Walter Clayton leading this Florida team, Elijah Martin. You get Will Richard. You get Condon as well. And yes, Tennessee has got some absolute studs as well. Chaz Lanier, Zakai Ziegler. These players are good. I mean, this is a very good Tennessee Volunteers team. They did not get to 14-0 on accident, right? I mean, they are an undefeated team for a reason. Yes, their scheduling hasn't been the roughest yet, but I mean, you got to give them credit for the wins that they pulled out. Again, at the time, Baylor was ranked 13, right? I mean, that is only one of 2 ranked victories they have all year, the other one being against the Arkansas Razorbacks on January 4th. But Tennessee, again, has been able to pull out victories, and you got to give them credit for that. I just think Florida gets them here. I think it's going to be a tightly contested basketball game. Obviously, again, Lanier feels like he puts up like 25 plus every single night. Obviously, Chaz Lanier averages 20 points. He's a great basketball player. But I do think Walter Clayton and Florida are able to get this one. I think it's going to be a very competitive basketball game. Again, 13-1 Florida taking on 14-0 Tennessee. Again, it is hard to go on the road and win basketball games, and especially in an environment like this. Hell, again, Florida put up 100 points in Lexington the other night and still, or other morning, obviously the game was at 11 a.m., and they still lost to Kentucky. But now Tennessee's got to come to Florida to play this basketball game. It's going to be difficult. I think Florida is able to outscore Tennessee, and I think they pick up the victory. Give me the Florida Gators in Tennessee's first real test of the season. Well, no, Illinois was a real test, but again, it's a whole other game in the SEC. Hey, it just means more. So give me the Florida Gators. Again, best conference in college basketball by far. Give me the Florida Gators at home here against the Tennessee Volunteers. I like them to get it again and to cover the 2.5 points as well. Next up, we go to the MAC. I know. We go from some super high-stakes basketball to the Mid-American Conference. Another game at 4 o'clock. I get it. But I feel like the value here is too good to pass up. I really like Bowling Green on the road here. I think Western Michigan is horrible. I just think they're really bad. Western Michigan, they are banned after their embarrassing performance at home against Valpo, which was only 3 games ago for them because they just haven't played that many games. But Western Michigan's 3-10. Are they the worst team in the Mid-American? Potentially. And we'll get to Bowling Green's last game against the Zips in a second. But Western Michigan has just been abysmal this season, okay? Their wins are Davenport, Canisius, and Youngstown State. The Youngstown State victory on the road, great. Their losses this year, Coastal, Butler, SIUE, South Dakota, Dayton, St. Thomas, Minnesota, North Dakota State got blown out by 40 points. Valpo, obviously, a game where, I kid you not, Western Michigan was up by about 15 points with 4 minutes to go, 20 with like 6 minutes to go, and they lost the basketball game. Valpo goes on like a 22-2 run to end the game, and Valpo wins. Crazy. It was at Western Michigan as well. It was in Kalamazoo. They've since lost to Michigan State and then lost their first MAC game to the Toledo Rockets. Bowling Green. Now, this was a team that was winning the Akron game the entire way. First MAC game of the season, obviously, for the Falcons. It's at home for Bowling Green. Akron goes in there. Akron is a favorite, but Bowling Green is leading the way for 90% of the basketball game. And in the end, Akron hits some big threes, and the Zips come through and win the game. Again, as expected. Now, the way that they did it wasn't expected, but Akron coming through, I think, one of the better teams in the Mid-American Conference. Again, I've been saying it all year. I think it's Akron and Kent State in the Mid-American, but Kent State has lost to Ball State at home. So maybe it's just Akron, but Akron didn't look all that impressive in that game. So we might have to shift our attention to Miami of Ohio, who picked up a huge victory against Buffalo. I mean, they're expected to be Buffalo, but I don't know. Maybe that's your best team in the Mid-American. I don't know. I thought it was Kent State, but how do you lose at home to, how do you lose at home to Ball State? Yeah, I don't know. A Bowling Green should be able to get West Michigan here, though. I think it's a great opportunity for plus money. Don't care the games on the road, guys. Whatever is going on in Kalamazoo, Michigan, it's not going to be, a crazy home court advantage for the West Michigan Broncos, right? Again, I'd only include this game if I didn't see great value here, obviously, because, we've got a crap ton of games today. I'm not even talking about the ACC today, right? I mean, there are some great games. We got Syracuse, Georgia Tech. I think Syracuse gets that one. We'll see. But we've got some really good basketball games, right? I'm not even going to talk about Auburn, Texas, and Austin. I think Auburn probably wins that game and probably, obviously wins. I think they probably cover. I did want to talk. I'm not going to do it. Again, these are just random picks I'm throwing out here. I don't mind Michigan to go to UCLA and cover plus 3.5. I like Utah State to go to San Jose and cover plus 10.5. Or sorry, minus 10.5. Excuse me. We'll get to the Mountain West in a second. We have an additional game there. But regardless, and hell, I hope Georgetown can cover 12.5. I wouldn't feel confident enough to play it. But I really like Bowling Green in the spot. I think they're going to win this game outright. You can keep your 3.5 points. They are the better basketball team. Western Michigan, they've got guys who can score. I'll give them that. Chancey Williams is back now, and that changes the dynamic of this team. This is a guy who's going to average 17 points a night. He's a junior for the squad. You add him alongside Markai Strickland, Owen Lobsinger, right? They've got some guys in this team, and obviously, again, Chancey Williams being on the court impacts his team a lot. Since his return, he's been averaging about 33 minutes a game, which is big time for them, obviously, and he's a guy who is going to demand the ball, and he's a guy who's going to score a lot. But I do think Bowling Green gets this one. Bowling Green's got they have a key four guys who really play great basketball for this team. It's Marcus Johnson, obviously, who averages 16.5 a night, Javonte Campbell, Derek Butler, Trey Thomas, right? Again, it's going to be a lot of Campbell, Butler, and Johnson, though. Those are the guys to watch for this Bowling Green team. And coming off of that, kind of just meltdown and unraveling that took place the other day against the Akron Zips, I do think Bowling Green's able to pick up a victory here on the road in Kalamazoo. They're just better than Western Michigan. Western Michigan, again, has not won many games this year. And I get it, Bowling Green's only won 5, but West Michigan's won 3 games all season, and one of them is against a D2 school. They're not that good. I don't care. The game is at Western Michigan. Toledo, who probably is better than Bowling Green, beat them by 6 points. But regardless, if Valpo is able to go to West Michigan, I think Bowling Green should be able to do the same damn thing. The South Dakota Coyotes went to Western Michigan and won. Again, I'm fine with the Falcons in this spot. Give me Bowling Green to go on the road to Kalamazoo and take down the Western Michigan Broncos. Let's move on to our final best bet of the video, and we go to Laramie, Wyoming, to the Arena Auditorium here in Laramie, Wyoming, at the University of Wyoming. We've got the New Mexico Lobos taking on the Wyoming Cowboys. Guys, the New Mexico Lobos are making a push in the NCAA tournament. I'm saying it right now. This team is going to win the Mountain West. Oh, I don't know, Utah State. Utah State's good. Boise's good too. I think Boise goes to UNLV and wins. But the Mountain West is good this season, man. This is a really good conference. The thing is, the bottom 4 of the Mountain West, no, bottom 3 of the Mountain West are really pitiful. I'm not going to include Nevada in that, obviously. Nevada's just played a lot of really close games and just lost them, but obviously Fresno, San Jose State, and Air Force just But the rest of the Mountain West is pretty solid. I don't think Wyoming's that great, and that's why I think New Mexico really takes care of them here. I think New Mexico is at the same level as Boise. After watching this New Mexico team play this year, yes, they don't play great defense, but those referees in that Wyoming-Nevada game were very whistle happy. They caught a lot of stuff that shouldn't have been called, and New Mexico was getting screwed all night long in the pit. They were. I thought they were getting screwed that entire game. They won the game by 1 point. Obviously, it was a huge winning shot by Nelly Jr. Joseph. I believe it was Donovan Dent who got stripped. Nelly Jr. Joseph picks it up, shoots a floater from the free throw line, and New Mexico wins the basketball game. Insane. Nelly Jr. Joseph, a very athletic guy, a very good shot blocker, a very good, board getter, and he can score points as well. Donovan Dent is relentless in getting to the hoop. You've got Amazil as well, who's a, sometimes reliable shooter. He'll just spot up at the corner a lot, and he can drive, obviously, and score as well. I like True Washington, too, but really it's Dent and Junior Joseph are the guys I really like on this New Mexico squad. Again, I think this team's going to make a push in the tournament. I'm serious. I think they have potential to win the Mountain West. I hope they do. Again, Utah State's a great team. I expect them to go to San Jose and really dominate the Spartans tonight. And I haven't talked about the Wyoming Cowboys yet. Again, here's my thing. Boise State went to Wyoming and won that game by 9 points. I think New Mexico's at the same spot. I think they're as good, but I think they're, I won't say that I think they're, I was going to say they're better than Boise. I don't know. That's yet to be seen. I think they're on the same level at the very least, though, as the Boise State Broncos. Boise beats them by 9. New Mexico should be able to win this game by more than 7 points. Okay, more than 6 points. It's not that tough of a line for New Mexico to cover here. Wyoming is 2-2 in Mountain West play so far this year. They've got losses on the road to Utah State, close game. They beat Nevada in a very close game. Again, Nevada's played so many close games this year and just not come out on the right end of them. And then another win over Air Force. Again, Air Force, not very good, but a good victory on the road in Colorado against the Air Force Falcons. Wyoming is led by one player only. It's Obi, who's averaging 18.5 points per game. He's been absolutely huge for this Wyoming team this season, but if you can shut him down like Boise did, limit him to 14 points, Wyoming becomes that more beatable. Again, Obi's going to try to do a lot for this team. Recently, though, he hasn't been playing like he started at the beginning of the season. He averages 34.5 minutes a game, 34 minutes a game. But once you get past Obi, then it's Jordan Nesbitt, who's averaging 9.5, Kobe Newton, who's averaging 9.5. Again, Wyoming, if you can shut down their guards, they become so much more beatable. And that's going to be reliant, again, on guys like Donovan Dent, like True Washington, who is the facilitator somewhat of the offense. And it's really just Donovan Dent. But still, that's, the responsibility is going to lie on those two guards for New Mexico, and I'm fine with it. Again, yes, they played a close game where they didn't cover against the Wolfpack the other day. That's okay. I think they're able to cover pretty easily on the road here against Wyoming, who I just think, again, is a little, I'm not going to say overrated, but I just think New Mexico's the way better basketball team. A 4-0 team in conference this year. I was able to watch this team play at the Save Mart Center in Fresno earlier in the year. They were able to win by 14 points against Fresno State. Hey, we did pick Fresno in that game to cover 14.5, and they did. Just saying, garbage time score secured it for us. But I like New Mexico a lot. Again, we are going to be siding with New Mexico a lot this year in Mountain West play, and we think they can go on the road here and cover these 6.5 points against the Wyoming Cowboys. Again, watch for Donovan Dent, Nelly Jr. Joseph, both of those guys put up 20 points in the victory at the pit the other night against the Nevada Wolfpack. And again, this was a game also where New Mexico shot absolutely horribly from three. They went 5 for 18 from beyond the arc that night, and especially in the starting lineup, again, we're looking at Amzil, who went 1 for 6 from 3-point land. That's going to clean itself up. Excuse me. He's not going to have that poorly of a shooting night again from beyond the arc. And again, in that basketball game, there were over 75 combined free throws. If they let New Mexico play defense, they should be fine. I get it. They don't play the best defense. But if you let Nelly Jr. Joseph block shots, you let these guys play aggressive defense, they should be able to shut down OB of the Wyoming Cowboys. I think New Mexico will be fine in this basketball game, going on the road and winning and covering the 6.5 points. So give me the New Mexico Lobos on the road, folks, and that'll do it for our 5 best bets for college basketball here on January 7th. If you have not yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more college basketball best bets daily here on the channel. If you, again, make sure to hit that like button down below and make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.